Yes, hey guys, and welcome back to another predictions video. And in today's video I'm going to be predicting the Lopez versus Gonzalez fight. If you're new around here though and you haven't subscribed, please do so. Like the video if you need, like the video, and let's get straight into it. So going into this fight, Lopez is 28-2 with 16 KOs and Gonzalez is 26-3 with 15 KOs. This fight is for the IBF World Featherweight title. Lopez's last fight was a win via TKO in round 5 versus Conlon, and Gonzalez's last fight was a win via unanimous decision versus Vivas. Gonzalez is 5'6" with a 70-inch reach, and Lopez is 5'4" with a 66.5-inch reach. Lopez's losses have come against Villa in 2019 and Montoya in 2018. Gonzalez's losses have come against Dogbo in 2022, Navarrete in 2021, and Stevenson in 2019. This is Lopez's second defence of his world title, and let's speak a bit more about what I've just said. So, Lopez, of course, last time out, getting a very good KO victory over Conlon. It was a fight where yet again he went into the backyard of his opponent, and yet again he managed to come out on top and managed to get the victory and won in a convincing fashion with a devastating knockout. And it was another performance for him which really cemented him at that top level and shows that he deserves more fights. And to be fair, it's probably going to make it more difficult for him to get matchups because less people are going to want to fight him after what he did to Conlon there. Not many people have managed to stop Conlon like that. I mean, I know Lee Wood did it, but he took his time to do it. He did it in the later rounds, and Conlon knocked down Lee Wood as well. But Lopez did that, I mean, earlier rounds and did it with quite a dominating fashion, really. So obviously there was a little bit of point where Conlon looked like he was doing all right, but Lopez still managed to win relatively convincingly, I'd say, all the rounds. So, or maybe bar one. So either way, it was a very good dominant performance. Gonzalez back to winning ways against a toughish opponent, but one which was just a necessary win to get him back in the winning column and get him back into another world title shot. To be honest, I am quite surprised that he's managed to get a shot just from this, but I mean, realistically, if you look about in the division at the moment, Ramirez could have possibly been an option for this, but I mean, he's fought recently. Vargas, possibly, I don't really know fully what's going on with him. Lara, I mean, he's probably going to move up in weight. You've got Lee Wood fighting Josh Warrington, and they're probably going to both move up in weight. And so, realistically, if you look at it, it's not a bad matchup. It's just one which, surprising. I mean, Dogbo, he's coming off a loss now as well against Ramirez. So, realistically, there wasn't a load of options that could have worked. So, I don't hate this fight. Of course, Gonzalez has that bigger height, that bigger reach. Lopez is going to have to deal with that. Gonzalez can have that to his advantage, and he possibly might use that. Of course, Lopez has had 2 defeats in the past. I feel like since then he's developed a lot more and has changed as a fighter a lot more and actually found a style which really works well for him. And so I don't think he realistically is the same fighter that he once was. And Gonzalez, I mean, he's had, like I said, more recent losses, but he's only ever really lost to the top guys and fighters who are top level. I mean, the Dogbo one was a very close fight. Navarrete, I mean, he's a multi-weight world champion. Stevenson, he's one of the best talents in the world. So realistically, it's not bad to see losses against them, but there is just possible question marks if he's still at the same level where he maybe once was, or is able to ever really be able to win a world title, because this possibly might be his last chance if he loses, especially if it is in devastating fashion, because that would have been, 3 chances at winning a world title now? The third one, I believe this is. Possibly 4. So I think if he loses this one in quite a devastating fashion, that might go away. But I feel like he's also going to be coming into this fight with that little bit more extra about him, because, like I said, it might be his last opportunity to get a world title. We'll have to wait and see. Of course, Lopez's second defence, and let's speak more about the fighters. So, Lopez, he's an unorthodox, powerful striker. Well, powerful fighter. He's got momentum. He kind of shoots from all angles. Like I said, very unorthodox, very difficult to pin down. He's sharp, he's tricky, applies pressure well, got a great uppercut, punches through his guard, or through other people's guard. He's unpredictable, he's good in close, and like I said, it's just quite elusive and quite difficult to really hit. I mean, sometimes he can be open to counters. It looks like he's sometimes off balance, but realistically, I think he has a good sense of balance. I think it's just credit to him that he can do all these little crazy little things and find all these angles because of his balance. So I feel like people that say he's got bad balance and struggles with that, it's not true really. And he managed to punch you from positions where I didn't even know it was possible to land a shot from. He'll look like he's about to fall over and be off balance, and then land 6 shots in a row and then just be stood up right next to you wanting to throw more. And that's what makes him so difficult to fight against. And he's, of course, like I mentioned, got momentum. He's on a good run now, and when he is applying pressure, he's difficult to fight against. And Conlon did manage to land a couple shots against him, but realistically Lopez was landing the much more powerful, the much more assertive shots until eventually he did get him out of there. And to be fair, it didn't even look like it was a crazily good shot which he landed it with. I think he probably landed more powerful shots earlier on in the fight against Conlon, but it just weighed him down, and that's all he needed to do. And the way that he was landing that uppercut every single time he threw it, which was quite often, and it was finding success every time, was just very impressive. And he did just punch through that guard, and there was times where he was throwing an uppercut and it just looked like, oh, it's just going to hit the gloves, but it just go through, and it's like, how does that happen? It's impressive, it's tough. And the negatives, I mean, he does lunge in. Sometimes he is open to counters when he does kind of drop his guard a little bit, and maybe sometimes the trickier shot doesn't always work and doesn't always pay off, and then sometimes he is open to counters. And he did get hit a little bit against Conlon and has been hit a bit in the past and can be frustrated as well. I mean, against Warrington he got frustrated in the later rounds, and Warrington was coming back in the later rounds as he does tire out seemingly a little bit. I don't know if it was tiring out or if it was just frustration building, and so there is elements there in the later rounds when Gonzalez could find success. And in my opinion, I don't think he's used to being the favourite. I think, like I said, he goes into other people's backyards and really puts on a show there, and for him to be the favourite and be the person everybody's expecting to win, that might add a bit more pressure where maybe he's not quite as used to. I don't know. But let's speak about Gonzalez. He's tough, he's game, he's durable, he leaves everything in the ring, he stands and trades, lets his hands go, can make adjustments when necessary, he can fight in close or at mid-range, he's composed, he doesn't rush, he's got a good chin, and like I said, he's fought some top level fighters, not always necessarily won, but never been stopped. Very tough, like I mentioned, and the fact that he managed to go all the rounds with the likes of Navarrete and Stevenson and Dogbo is impressive. Stevenson, yeah, maybe not, he's not always known for being the most powerful, but he can just outwork you and outbox you, and that's how he gets out some of his opponents. But Gonzalez didn't let that happen. He did get outboxed, but he was too tough and too durable to be kind of taken out of the ring. And like I said, he leaves everything in the ring, so if Lopez is going to be pushed back, then it'll be interesting to see how he reacts to being able to get put back. And I feel like Gonzalez's best game plan, in my opinion, even though he has that reach, is to be in close, trade, and he's done that before. But I know it's risky, it means he can get hit with a big shot, but I feel like he can also land a big shot himself. And if he is pushing back Lopez, then maybe he might not be quite as comfortable and quite as used to that, and I feel like that could be interesting, and we'll have to wait and see if that is the case or not. But like I said, he can make necessary adjustments when needed, can fight on the mid-range, which maybe Lopez isn't quite as comfortable at mid-range, so possibly that is the way to go. But I feel like at mid-range, Lopez can come in with his lunging shots and then make it into a close-range fight. And so, because that's what he did against Conlon. Conlon was trying to outbox him and it just didn't work, and so I don't know if fighting mid-range is realistically the best bet for him. He's, like I said, lost to the top level fighters in the past, and this is his last opportunity really, in my opinion. His arguments, if he is past his best, I don't know. Have to wait and see with this fight. I feel like this fight's going to expose it or not. He boxes opponents' games sometimes, kind of falls into their trap sometimes, and does take a lot of punishment as well. Like I said, stand and trades, and sometimes, and it's not always the best bet, and sometimes it means he can lose fights because he can get outpointed. But Lopez is the favourite for this fight, and I think that Lopez will win via a unanimous decision. It would be impressive, and it'll be statement making if he does stop Gonzalez. Do I think he will? No. I feel like he'll find success in the early to mid rounds. Gonzalez possibly could find success in the later rounds. We'll have to see who's on top in the later rounds and who's pushing the tempo in the later rounds. But I think this will be a high level fight, and one which is high output as well, and lots of shots are going to be thrown, in my opinion, for this fight, and I think it's going to be an entertaining one. But I feel like I said, Lopez will win via unanimous decision. Where does he go on to next? Vargas, Ramirez. They're two top level guys, top world champions, so they're possible fights for him as well. Leewood Warrington, I don't think, like I said, I feel like both of them will move up. I feel like Lopez possibly could move up himself. I don't know if he will though. If he does, I would still love to see the Lara fight, just moving up in weight, because Lara's probably going to move up in weight now, and Lopez, I would love to see that fight. I feel like that'd be a huge Mexican fight, and I don't know if it'll happen. We'll have to wait and see. Like I said, if Lopez does want to move up or not, but he might do. It wouldn't surprise me if he would, especially for a Lara fight, because it is a huge fight realistically. But otherwise, like I said, there is other options as well. But yeah, that is it for today's video. Hope you did enjoy. Like if you didn't, like this, subscribe if you're new, and thanks for watching.